Hi there, beautiful people. I just wanted to let you know I haven't been back in a while, but I'm back now. Uh, just a lot going on in my life, and I mean a lot. Um, I didn't want to make this video at first, but I'm going to do it. A certain family member had asked me not to share my personal business online, especially about certain subjects, but I'm going to do it anyways. Because I figure if it saves just one life, it's worth it. Okay, June 2nd, my husband had a major stroke. And what happened was, I was getting ready for bed. I was about ready to lay down. All of a sudden, I hear this loud crashing noise. At first, I thought it was my dog because she's a kettle dog. I thought she was trying to chase his cats around the table. She loves to herd them up into a corner. I thought she bumped into the coffee table. I didn't hear my husband say anything to her like, little girl, go lay down, little girl, stop that, or anything. So I was like, oh crap, that was John. And so I quickly got up, I ran out there, and he's laying face first on the floor. I mean, literally, this part of his face. And so I had to roll him over and put him into an easy resting position. Both of his eyes were rolled up. And my husband has seizures. So I thought he was having a seizure when I saw his eyes rolled up. But that wasn't it. He kept. He, I was just about ready to start CPR up on him. Just then he took a breath. I was like, oh, thank you, God. So I went ahead and was trying to just let him rest there just for a few minutes. And he kept trying to talk to me, but his speech was slurred. I couldn't make out anything that he was saying. And I thought, okay, he might have a concussion, from hitting. I mean, he hit that tile floor hard. So I turned around and I was like, okay, John, you're not making any sense. He kept trying to sit up and everything, and I kept trying to get him to just rest there on the floor for at least a minute. But he wasn't going to have it. So I finally got him up. I got him to the sofa. He sat there, and I was like, okay, don't you move. Don't you move. Because I thought, if it's any kind of head injury, I got to keep an eye up on him. But he was insistent that he had to use the bathroom. I was like, really? Right now? He said yes. That came out clear as a bell. So I was like, okay. So I had one arm up under his armpit, one of his arms, and I had my other arm around him. And I was walking with him towards the bathroom, and all of a sudden he just straight down. And I was like, John, John. And I kept trying to wake him up. And then all of a sudden he just started crawling like a baby does, up on their hands and knees. And was crawling to the bathroom. And I'm like, oh, this ain't going to be good. Me trying to pick him up to, hold him up for him to use the bathroom. I'm probably giving out a little too much information, but it's leading somewhere. So, not only that, when he gets in there to the bathroom, I'm looking at his face. The entire left side of his face was droopy. Like, it was like no muscle tone to his face at all. It looked just like skin hanging on bone. His left side of his mouth was droopy, but the right side of his mouth was just completely fine. And he was trying to talk to me. And I was like, John, are you okay? And I kept tapping his face. I said, can you feel this? And he goes, it feels none. And so I tapped his face again. He goes, it tingly. Now I think he said tingly. I don't know because, like I said, his speech was slurred. Now, once I got him to the hospital and everything, I received information about strokes. They call it BAST: face, arms, speech, and time. They immediately got him back there. They did a CT scan on him. And the doctor came up in the room and said, "You know you had a stroke." He was insistent it was, my husband was, he was insistent it was a seizure. I'm like, no, that was a stroke. Even the doctor even said so. Well, the following day, he after having a major stroke, and it was major, they said they wanted to keep him. Then they said they didn't want to. Then they said, no, we're going to go ahead and keep him after all. Then they came back and said, no, because all the tests that we're going to do for him here at the hospital, his doctor can order that. I was like, gravy. You know, this man just had a major stroke and y'all just want to kick him right to the curb. So this went on for a few hours at the hospital. Finally, they discharged him. He got back home. Followed up with his doctor, his primary care physician, next day. He immediately got him into a neurologist because not only does my husband have seizures, that he wanted him to follow up with a neurologist for that. He wanted him to follow up with a neurologist because of this major stroke. Now, when we get him to his neurologist, I'm just firing off questions, one after another, after another, after another, with this neurologist. And I feel like I had to be my husband's advocate for him. After we get him there to the neurologist, I'm asking multiple questions. He goes, well, I'm going to take a look at his CT scan. I was like, okay, fine. So when he pulled it up on the monitor, I was like, can I see that scan also? So he turned the monitor around for me to see also. And he showed me his CT scan. Immediately, I just wanted to cry. But I held it together when I saw my husband's CT scan. The right side of his brain, where the stroke had happened at, there was barely any healthy tissue left, brain tissue. The majority of that, where the stroke happened at, it was black. There was a few white sections that were still healthy, white brain tissue from the scan, but majority of it was black. Now my husband is still having some paralysis, some weakness on his right side. His right eye still hurts him. And it's not from the fall or anything, it's from the stroke. His memory is not that good since the stroke. He's having a hard time remembering a lot of things. And I just have to be a little bit more patient with him due to this now. And, constantly having to remind him about certain things. Now, this happened on June 2nd. It's almost mid-July now. So, I'm like, I know it's not going to happen overnight with him getting a lot of this back. If he does get any of it back. I'm hoping he does. He does have a cane that he does use. We're about ready to go get his walker that his primary care physician had prescribed him to help him out, And he had to have a sleep study. Apparently, people that suffer from sleep apnea have higher incidence of having a stroke, which was not known to me at the time. People who have seizures have a higher incidence of having a stroke. His doctor prescribed him 325 milligrams of aspirin to take daily, and plus being on a cholesterol medication now. Um, People who've had strokes have a higher incidence of a probability of having a heart attack. So this is why I wanted to make this video. I know it's going to make this other family member upset, but I have to do it. If it saves one life, one, then honestly, then I'm going to put out this video. Everybody learn the signs of a stroke. Facial droopiness, slurred speech, the arms, and it's just remember the abbreviation FAST. Face, arms, speech, and then time. Time is of the essence. The sooner you can get this person to the hospital to be treated, the less likely of more damage being done caused by a stroke. Number one, that's why I'm doing it. Number two, learn CPR, people. It's not. It doesn't even take an hour to go through the Red Cross course. Now, my previous place of employment, they were offering the CPR basic life support course. I paid the fee. I got in there. I learned the course. It didn't even take an hour for this course. And I would like to thank Miss Amy for teaching this course. I've already had to utilize it once for a friend of mine. And thank God I was there that day, because I don't think that she would have made it. But she did. She's alive now, due to the CPR that I was able to perform on her. And no, she didn't have a heart attack or stroke. She had an aneurysm. It broke off and it caused her to fall backwards. And when I saw her, she was dead. I know that death stare. But that's beside the point. Learn CPR, people. It's less than an hour course. The money that you spend on it, you may not ever have to use CPR on anybody, but at least you'll have that certificate that'll last you for 2 years. I'm fixing to be renewed for my certification for CPR. Like I said, I have learned it basically from my husband due to all of his illnesses and everything else. And I'm grateful that I did, or else I wouldn't have known any of this, But learn it, people. Get out there. Not just for yourself, but for your loved ones. I'm a grandmother. I have 5 beautiful grandbabies. Beautiful. And if anything ever happened to them, at least I have CPR training. Oh God, it would just break my heart, if something happened to one of my grandbabies, especially when they're in my care, and I didn't have the CPR training for them. I would just be emotional wreck trying to wait for the ambulance or the fire department or the police showing up. You got to learn this. If not for yourself, then learn it for your loved ones. Or just learn it, period. You never know when you'll have to utilize it. It could be for a complete stranger up on the street. You never know. But when it comes to strokes, it's a serious matter. and get out there and learn what you can about strokes. There's different forms of strokes. There's the kind that cause brain bleeds, and then there's the kind that cause lack of oxygen and blood supply to the part of the brain where the stroke is happening. And that's the kind that my husband had. So there's different forms. They happen in different parts of the brain. They can happen at any age. Any age. Get out there and learn CPR. It's less than an hour, people. And be the best money that you ever spend. If you can save a life, do it. I'll come back now, you hear?